you ever heard of the Nephilim? Giants mentioned in scriptures, mysterious beings that challenge everything we know about the history of humanity. Who were these colossal beings? Did they really exist, or are they just legends? And if they did exist, what happened to them? The Bible describes men of gigantic stature who terrorized entire peoples. In Genesis 6 verse 4, we read, "There were giants in the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men, the men of renown, who were of old." But wait, if the flood destroyed all of humanity, how did the giants appear again? How did Goliath and other biblical giants appear centuries later? Get ready to discover one of the most mysterious and disturbing stories in the scriptures. And believe me, what you are about to hear will completely change the way you view the Bible. The Nephilim. Who were the giants of antiquity? The word Nephilim comes from the Hebrew Nephilim, which means fallen or overthrown. But who are they? There are two main theories about their origin. They were descendants of fallen angels who had children with human women, as mentioned in Genesis 6 verse 4. They were simply powerful men and legendary warriors with no supernatural involvement. But if the Nephilim were just humans, why does the Bible describe them in such a frightening and mysterious way? Could there have been something more to them? Something that defies logic? Many ancient Jewish traditions argue that these giants were hybrid beings, the result of the forbidden union between the sons of God and the daughters of men. But this leads us to a dilemma. Who were these sons of God? The mystery of Genesis 6 verse 4, the sons of God and the daughters of men. Here is one of the most controversial passages in the Bible. Genesis 6 verse 4 speaks of a group called the sons of God who had children with human women. But who are they? There are three main theories. Fallen angels. This is the oldest view, supported by apocryphal texts such as the Book of Enoch. According to this view, fallen angels came down to earth, fell in love with human women, and fathered the giants. Descendants of Seth. Some believe that the sons of God were the descendants of Seth, the son of Adam, while the daughters of men were descendants of Cain. Kings and powerful rulers. Another theory suggests that the sons of God were ancient kings who practiced polygamy and oppression. Whatever the explanation, the fact is that the Nephilim were different, fearsome and gigantic beings, which makes them one of the greatest mysteries of the Bible. But what happened to these beings in the flood? Were they all destroyed? The mystery of Genesis 6 verse 4, the sons of God and the daughters of men. Here is one of the most controversial passages in the Bible. Genesis 6 verse 4 speaks of a group called the sons of God who had children with human women. But who are they? There are three main theories. Fallen angels. This is the oldest view, defended by apocryphal texts such as the Book of Enoch. According to this view, fallen angels came down to earth, fell in love with human women, and gave birth to the giants. Descendants of Seth. Some believe that the sons of God were the descendants of Seth, the son of Adam, while the daughters of men were descendants of Cain. Powerful kings and rulers. Another theory suggests that the sons of God were ancient kings who practiced polygamy and oppression. Whatever the explanation, the fact is that the Nephilim were different, fearsome, and gigantic beings, which makes them one of the greatest mysteries of the Bible. But what happened to these beings in the flood? Were they all destroyed? The giants in the flood, were they all exterminated? The flood in Noah's day was a divine response to the corruption of humanity. God decided to destroy everything and start over with Noah and his family. But a big question arises. If the flood ended everything, how were there still giants after it? Genesis 6 verse 4 says something intriguing. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also afterward. The phrase, "and also afterward," indicates that giants returned after the flood. But how was this possible? There are a few theories to explain this mystery. The Nephilim line somehow survived the flood, perhaps through the wife of one of Noah's sons, who could have carried giant genes. The fallen angels corrupted humanity again after the flood, creating a new race of giants. The post-flood giants were simply very large human descendants with no direct connection to the previous Nephilim. What we do know is that even after the flood, we find several tribes of giants in the Bible. And this brings us to a new mystery: the return of the giants after the flood. How was it possible? Many centuries after Noah, as the people of Israel were preparing to enter the Promised Land, they encountered giants. This is recorded in Numbers 13:32-33, when the spies sent by Moses reported, "All the people that we saw in it were men of great stature. We also saw the giants there, the descendants of Anak, the descendants of the giants, and we looked like grasshoppers to us." Who were these giants? Where did they come from? They belonged to people called Rephaim, Anakim, Zanzamim. These tribes occupied Canaan before the Israelites and were described as huge and powerful, which terrified Moses' spies. But there was one king who stood out: the terrifying story of Og, the giant king of Bashan. Og, king of Bashan, was one of the last giants mentioned in the Bible. Deuteronomy 3 verse 11 gives us some frightening information about him. For only Og, king of Bashan, was left of the giants. His bed was of iron, 9 cubits long and 4 cubits wide, according to the common cubit. To put this into perspective, Og's bed was nearly 13 feet long. That means he could have been over 10 feet tall. He was defeated by Moses and the Israelites, but his existence proves that giants still walked the earth centuries after the flood. But Og wasn't the only famous giant in the Bible. Goliath, the last great giant, or just a huge warrior. Goliath is undoubtedly the most famous giant in the Bible. The story of David and Goliath is one of the most well-known in the world. But was Goliath a real Nephilim, or just a tall warrior? The Bible tells us that Goliath was 6 cubits and a span tall, which is approximately 2.90 meters tall. However, an intriguing detail is that Goliath was not alone. Goliath's brothers, a race of giants among the Philistines? Few people know this, but Goliath had giant brothers. In 2 Samuel 21 verses 15-22, we find accounts of Philistine warriors of gigantic stature, including one who had 6 fingers on each hand and foot. This suggests that the lineage of giants persisted among the Philistines. But where did they come from? To answer this question, we need to look beyond the Bible. Accounts of giants outside the Bible, Enoch and other ancient sources. The Book of Enoch, an ancient text not included in the traditional Bible, speaks volumes about giants. According to Enoch, the Nephilim were descendants of fallen angels called the Watchers, who taught humanity forbidden secrets. In addition, we find reports of giants in several civilizations: Greek mythology, Titans; Sumerian mythology, Anunnaki. Indigenous cultures mention giants in the Americas. Is it a coincidence that so many cultures speak of giant beings? Or is there a truth hidden in these legends? Were giants a supernatural creation? The most controversial theories. In the face of so much evidence, some theories have emerged about the true origin of giants. Genetic experiments by fallen angels. They could have manipulated human genetics to create a hybrid race. Were giants the titans of mythology? Do biblical and mythological accounts speak of the same creatures? Were giants a form of divine punishment? Some believe they were created as a consequence of humanity's sin. Whatever the truth, one question remains: is there concrete evidence of the existence of giants? Archaeological evidence. Is there proof of giants in history? Several reports speak of giant skeletons found throughout history. But why are these discoveries never officially disclosed? There's supposed images and reports of enormous bones discovered in different parts of the world. Some of these discoveries have been discredited, but others remain a mystery. What if giants still existed? Giant today? Legends or hidden truths? There are still modern reports of sightings of giants in remote locations. Some indigenous tribes claim that colossal beings inhabit caves and remote mountains. Is it possible that some descendants of ancient giants still walk among us? The spiritual meaning of giants in the Bible. Beyond the physical aspect, giants represent something greater in the Bible: the challenges and obstacles that humanity faces. They symbolize fear, oppression, and the struggle of faith against difficulties. David's victory over Goliath shows that with God, even the smallest of men can overcome the greatest of challenges. Giants and lost civilizations, the pyramids and mysterious constructions. Many ancient civilizations left behind gigantic constructions, some so impressive that they defy even modern engineering. But how were these structures built without the technology we have today? The pyramids of Egypt, with stones that weigh tons. The Temple of Baalbek in Lebanon, which has stone blocks so large that even modern cranes could not easily move them. The megalithic structures of South America, such as Sacsayhuaman in Peru, whose stones are cut with millimeter precision. Some researchers theorize that these constructions were built with the help of giants who possessed strength and knowledge superior to that of ordinary humans. Could it be that the Nephilim or their descendants influenced ancient civilizations? This leads us to an intriguing question. Are there records of giants also in biblical archaeology? Lost records? What does biblical archaeology say about giants? Archaeology has made discoveries that confirm many biblical events. But what about giants? Some historical accounts indicate that archaeologists have found human skeletons of extraordinary size. There are mentions of discoveries of giant bones in Palestine, Turkey, and even in the United States. However, many of these finds are considered controversial. Some say they have been covered up because they challenge the traditional narrative of human history. And here comes the question. Why do we barely hear about these discoveries? Many believe that the existence of giants could change science's view of the origins of humanity. If the Nephilim were real, it would confirm the biblical view that there were supernatural beings interacting with humans. Is the story of the giants being hidden from the world? The Book of Enoch and the forbidden revelations about the giants. The Book of Enoch is one of the most controversial apocryphal texts in history. It describes in detail the fallen angels who rebelled against God and came to earth. According to this book, angels called the Watchers came down to earth and taught secrets forbidden to humanity. They taught metallurgy, how to forge weapons and armor; astrology, how to read the stars and predict events; magic and sorcery, hidden knowledge that God did not want humans to have. The Book of Enoch says that because of this rebellion, these angels were imprisoned, and God sent the flood to destroy the Nephilim. But here's the shocking detail. This book was removed from the official scriptures. Why? Did they want to hide the truth about the giants? Giants and end-time prophecies. Now comes a surprising revelation. Some scholars believe that giants may play a role in end-time events. Jesus said in Matthew 24, verse 37, "For as it was in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. If there were giants and corruption on earth in Noah's day, does that mean we'll see something similar in the end times? There are modern reports of genetic experiments, advances in DNA manipulation, and even rumors of the creation of superhumans. Could the world be reliving the days of Noah, bringing back being similar to the Nephilim? If this is true, we are approaching something much bigger than we imagined. The last giant of the Bible. Is the prophecy still alive? The last giant mentioned in the Bible was Goliath and his brothers. But did this line really become extinct? The Bible often uses spiritual symbols to describe evil forces. In Revelation, there are references to colossal creatures and hybrid beings, which may represent evil spiritual powers. If the Nephilim were the work of fallen angels, their influence may still be alive in the spiritual world. And what can we learn from this? The giants represent the challenges that try to prevent us from achieving our promises. Just as David faced Goliath, we too have our spiritual giants to overcome. And in the end, the most powerful lesson is this: with God, there is no giant that cannot be defeated. What can we learn from the story of the giants? After all this, the question that remains is, what were the giants really like? Were they descendants of fallen angels? Were they humans of great stature? Or is the truth beyond what we imagine? What we know for sure is that the Bible teaches us profound spiritual lessons with these stories. No matter how great the challenge we face, if we trust in God, we can defeat any giant. Now I ask you, have you ever faced a giant in your life? Something that seemed impossible, but God helped you overcome? Share your experience in the comments. If this video helped you, like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more mysteries of the Bible revealed.